something. And maybe sometimes you might need one of these moments in your life where you do fall down and you have to bring yourself up again. So
Mhm.
the series in Taiwan was all about my looking back at what happened and seeing what I could do better going forward.
You're listening to Ticket to Anywhere, an award-winning travel essential podcast hosted by Leah and Trizzy, two Asian American women with 23 years of combined travel experience.
We are your first stop to infinite travel, giving you the gear, tools, and tips for a more travel-filled life.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Trizzy at TrizzInc.
And I am the other co-host, Leah at LA in Flight. And this episode maybe was, I don't know, 3 years in the making.
Yeah, and it's a healing session too. So
Yes. I
we
like that
brought
you
on
called it
Shebs.
that.
Yeah, it definitely was a healing session because it made me feel like I'm not alone in the
Mhm.
mental health journey that
Mhm.
we're constantly on every day.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And how closely it relates to putting ourselves and our work out there, right?
Mhm.
It's all very much related because if you aren't strong or well enough up here, it's hard to do other things, especially edit and put content out there and put yourself out there.
Mhm. Like you're doing your own work. It's not like you're doing a client's work. Like you
Yes.
want to work on the content that you put out and
Mhm.
you are making sure that you're portraying yourself in the way that you want to be portrayed.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we had this great like hour plus long conversation with Shebs the Wanderer, Shebs alum, our good friend out in the UK, whom he reminded us that we met on Clubhouse. Does anyone remember Clubhouse?
Didn't
And
even
how I used to
remember.
drag Trizzy onto Clubhouse? I'd be like, get on Clubhouse at 2 p.m. today because it was like 2020, 2021, and we were not doing anything else.
Yeah, we just had to talk and then live the travel life through audio.
Oh my gosh. That was like the biggest like rise and decline.
Mhm.
How is
Yeah,
there
it
not a
went down
documentary
quick.
about it right now? The rise and fall of Clubhouse.
That's true. But yeah, I'm glad he brought that up because I really did not remember anything about meeting him there. It just felt like we've been friends for a long time.
Mhm.
Like more
Mhm.
than what, 3, 5 years that he said
Mhm.
we've been friends or connected. And I met him once in person when I went to London 2
Mhm.
years ago. And even that short amount of time that we spent in person, I just felt like I knew him from another life or something.
Yeah.
And you
Oh.
guys could tell because in this episode, we just kept talking and talking and
Yeah.
talking, and after recording, we still were talking for, like, another hour.
Yeah. I know. I was like, damn, we should have kept recording, but it's okay
I
because
know.
there were some things there that I didn't want said to the public. Sorry, y'all. You might have to if you want to hear them, actually sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
If you wanna hear the things that we won't say in public, sign up for the newsletter. We link it in the show notes every time, so pretty
Exclusive.
good incentive, huh?
Mhm. Definitely true, definitely true.
Mhm.
And Shebs came on, and he is a tea drinker like me. Holla.
Oh, very jealous. And what tea do you have this morning?
For the episode today, I have Hojicha tea, and the brand is Yamamoto.
You know, I am obsessed with hojicha wherever it is, I'm obsessed with it because of you. You basically, like, introduced it to me, but I have it like
It's the
hojicha
best.
lattes.
Yes, yeah. That's another great way to drink Hojicha. So,
That's
yeah.
all you.
What's your coffee for the morning?
So I went basic and, where it's the early morning recording and I woke up quite late. But lately I've been drinking the Juan Valdez instant freeze dried coffee straight from Colombia, but sold only at Walmart, which I know there's a lot of boycott talk on right now, but I like stocked up on my Juan Valdez coffee because there's also a lot of import and tariff talks right now.
Mhm.
So I'm grabbing the little jars, which are about this size, in my coffee. It's just instant freeze dried coffee, but it's like I don't know, it's just a little bit better than, like, the instant coffee we have in the US. Like, Colombia freeze dries it a certain way.
Hmm.
Juan Valdez is basically the Starbucks of Colombia,
Cool.
so there's a lot of locations, and it's only, like, $5.40 right now, and I'm worried about what it will be in a few months, so I have, like, 6 jars.
Wow. Good
Yeah,
move.
but
Good move. I never heard of freeze dried coffee before, so
I
that's
know, I
pretty
have to
cool.
look up the process, but I think it's like it's just a better way of creating instant coffee where it
Hmm.
preserves the flavor a little bit more, I think.
Okay. Are they the
But
only brands that do it, or it's been a thing?
I mean, it's the only brands one of the only brands that I've seen that says it on the label. I'm sure other people do it, but I don't know. It's
Mm.
like it's weird because you see it when you see it on the shelves, you'll see that it says like instant freeze dried coffee. So it's still instant coffee, but then others are just like instant coffee.
I've been seeing a
So
lot of freeze dried stuff,
I
like
know
even
for
Skittles
coffee.
candy.
Oh, they're saying freeze dried now?
Yeah. And I don't
That
know if it's like a backpacker thing or something, but,
I don't know
the only freeze
either.
dried I've had was like a Neapolitan ice cream sandwich, and that was me
Oh,
trying, backpacker food.
backpacker food. I think I learned about the one I mean, I knew about Juan Valdez, but I didn't realize they had this freeze dried coffee until one of the coffee maker influencers that I follow said
Hmm.
he was like, "I think this is the best instant coffee on the market." So I immediately went out. I was influenced. I
Oh,
immediately went
okay.
out and bought
You
it.
flew to Colombia and
I flew next time, I'm gonna go from the source, but, I mean, at the
Yeah.
time of recording, also, I just came back from El Salvador, and you bet I brought back bags and bags of coffee, like, from the
Ooh,
source.
nice.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the way to do it. But enjoy this episode with Shebs the Wanderer, our good friend, and cheers.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, so I just also interviewed quite a big person actually. Levison Wood's quite a big explorer here in the UK. He's a household name, I suppose, a
Mm.
celebrity. You can put it that way. He's an explorer.
Mm.
Levison Wood, yeah. If you Google
Oh,
him,
yeah.
he's quite big. But he gave me the exclusive interview for his new book that's coming out, and yeah, I've known him for about 5 years. I saw him. I was going to one of his events, and I saw him, and I thought, this is my only opportunity that I might get to say hello to him and speak to him. So I interrupted. It was quite rude, obviously. I interrupted this conversation with someone and said, "Oh,
You are
excuse me."
ballsy.
But you have to. But in this industry, you have to be, don't you? So
Yeah.
I interrupted him and said, "Listen, I'm Shebs. I've known you for. Well, I've not known. I've obviously known him, but he doesn't know who I am." So I said, "I've been watching your stuff, read all your stuff, and I'm a big fan, and all that kind of stuff." And then he gave me his email address and said, "Yeah, stay in touch." And I did. I emailed him, and then I got a follow off him on Instagram, which was like, "Oh yes, I've got him now." So
You're in.
I know I'm
Yeah.
in, and then since then we chat every so often. We'll text and stuff. I'll see him at events, and I can't remember the last time I saw him actually, maybe a couple of years ago. But he gave me his unproofed version of the book as well, so he trusted me that much to
Wow.
exactly. So that's how much him and his team had faith in me, and I read the book, interviewed him. It was a great interview actually. It comes out
Wow.
late March of this
Ooh.
in a month's time and stuff. So I'm very looking forward to it. I've had quite a lot of interest already
Mm.
for people wanting to interview me about the interview, which is good.
Int
So that's
That's
obviously
so
a great way
cool.
of promoting the show as well. So, but yeah, that was a but that's one of the things about being a. I'm sure you guys know what it's like. And when we met Trizzy, I think we spoke a little bit about how you just have
Mhm.
to go out there and make something of yourself. Otherwise, no one's going to
Yeah.
notice you if you don't put your foot in the door.
Yeah, get out the
That's
comfort zone.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's the main thing. And but Leah, we haven't quite met yet. I know we've
No,
had
I know we
loads of
tried to, but I didn't realize
we've
you
had
were,
a few.
like, 3 hours away.
No, I know we've had a few close shaves, and the thing is, I met Trizzy. I just landed from another press
That's
trip
so
I think you were
cool.
coming
in
back from Malta or
That's
something,
correct.
and
That
then
is
we
correct.
met
Yes,
at
yes.
the airport.
That's correct. Yes.
I was like,
That
And it
"This
is
is
was
so
perfect
cool,
timing."
though.
I know, even though we only had like 45 minutes, I think I said to you for 40, even if it's 45, even if it was 5 minutes, it was worth it
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it was,
Yeah.
I've met people for like 10 minutes and it's worth it. Because I remember when I came to New York a couple of years ago, just one person who's blown up now in terms of her career, in terms of she's become a big influencer. When I first traveled with her, when I met her on travel, she was she was doing a regular job, and now she's got like, I think like 1 million followers on Instagram, and she just has
Wow.
like no time. So I said, even if it's 2 minutes. So I literally met her for 2 minutes.
Nice.
But
Oh
that
my
was it.
yeah.
That was worth it though, because I thought, you know what, even if it's 2 minutes, it'd be worth just seeing you. So I always see that as like a great way of still keeping that connection going. And but no,
Yeah.
it was great. I bought you. I remember buying you
You got like
coffee and gingerbread man, wasn't it? Oh, gingerbread
yeah.
person, I should say.
It was
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
chai tea latte and a
Yes, that was
gingerbread cookie.
Oh,
correct. Yeah, yeah.
you
But
fed her. Love
it is
language.
so so my motto is, if someone, I just did it the other day, someone came from Brazil that I know, and my motto is, if someone comes to your homeland or whatever, you treat them and make sure, then hopefully when you go over there, or whoever goes over to their home, they do the same as well. So it's like
Mhm.
it
That's
carries
so
It's
on. It's
a
like
I
nice.
a
think it's an
domino effect.
Asian thing because
It
we do
is
the
actually,
same
that's
as
true.
well.
Actually, yeah, in Asia, yeah, that's true. Actually, when I went to Taiwan, I remember I met this. She was quite a well-known actress over there, and her and her mother was like, we're treating you to everything. You know, you don't have to pay for anything. So dinner, lunch, desserts, everything,
Oh,
coffee and stuff. But that is an Asian mentality, as you said. So
Mhm.
it's something that I think sometimes lacks maybe in our Western values and stuff.
am I doing this wrong? Because I feel like I pay for things when I go to other people, but that's because they're like picking me up or I'm staying with them. Because I was just
Uh,
thinking all the past few years where I've gone to people, I've always paid.
oh,
Hmm.
your
And I'm
friends
like,
need.
wait a second.
Yeah, your friends need our mine and Trizzy's mottos, don't they, Trizzy? Yeah,
I
Yeah,
think
that
so.
definitely.
But then I've
mentality.
been
No.
just recounting how many of those friends that I've stayed with were Asian and not many.
Mm.
So I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
where it is. That
There is,
literally like
yeah.
a cultural
Yeah,
disconnect,
it
you
is. Yeah,
know?
it is a culture. Yeah, you're. Is it Philippines again? Just remind me. Is that right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
obviously Trizzy, China, isn't it?
Chinese. Yeah.
Chinese, isn't it? Yeah. So we have that mentality anyway. That if for example, if someone comes to your house, you feed them until they can't
That's
eat
true.
anymore, or
Mhm.
Yeah.
you'd let them stay, or
I feel like I'm still paying for things because I'm like, oh, it's a thank you for meeting up with me.
oh,
Maybe I
okay.
need to find better people
You do,
because
yeah.
I'm
You need
like,
to make new
it's
friends.
literally, I'm just thinking about it. It's like, wait, I'm still paying for stuff.
Yeah, you need to make new friends. Do you know what? I've just realized actually, I've spelt my name wrong as well. Oh, I
Uh,
can't believe
Oh,
it.
oh
yo,
my
you
gosh.
gotta add the S.
I do. I can't believe it. I've spelt my own name wrong.
His name is
That's
not Sheb, y'all. It's
yeah,
Yeah.
Shebs.
Shebs, yeah.
It's
I
a
can't believe
plural.
that. Yeah, I know. I can't believe that. But that's funny. That'll be part of the show. That's quite funny. Oh, I couldn't spell my own name right.
There we go. Oh, great. You got it changed.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Sorry about that.
perfect
Crazy.
transition into introducing Shebs.
Yes. So Shebs alum, yes. You can also call me Shebs the Wanderer. I've been actually a travel broadcaster, writer, editor, and many other things as well. I
Mhm.
have been travel content maker as well, filmmaker, co-executive producer for a TV show on PBS. The list goes on, but I don't want to bore you guys.
No, it's amazing.
Uh,
You were probably one of the first people in the travel community that we connected with, and
yes.
we were blessed to kind of see your growth within this travel space from being a writer onto having your own YouTube channel and
Yeah.
everything.
Well, same
Mhm.
to you guys. Yeah, I think we was it. What was that club? Is it Clubhouse we first met?
Was it
Clubhouse.
Yeah, I
Clubhouse?
think it was Clubhouse. Yes, that's
Yes.
where
Oh
we
my
first
god.
met. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you're
That was a
right.
good. That was 5 years ago, and there was quite a lot of us that became friends from that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Definitely.
that's
It
and
was,
to
yeah.
see everyone's growth from that as well is amazing. I think so. It's been a journey, I must say. It's been for you guys winning the award as well for your podcast is amazing as
Oh, thank
well.
Thank you,
you.
Shebs.
And it's congratulations. I've been watching your stuff. I love watching the YouTube because I love the visual aspect of it. Obviously, people do
Oh, thanks.
can listen to it online or on the audio, but I do love the visual of it because you can see your movements and stuff, mannerisms and stuff. So
I
I
love
always
it. Thank
give it a
you.
watch. But I also watch your shows on the road, Trizzy, because you do quite a few with your partner.
Oh, with my partner. Yeah, yeah, yeah. With
I
Maui and
call, yeah,
Trizzy.
I call you guys the hottest lesbian couple in the industry. You've
Second
got that.
award.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got that accolade. Yes, you've got that accolade. So no, I love them. So some of the shows have been great,
We're gonna
especially the
put that
one.
on our website.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
do, especially you've got that on your. I remember I watched the one in China recently, which is
Mm.
great, and I think I watched one in the Christmas time as
Oh,
well or
yeah. Yeah.
something.
We just released a few Christmas episodes
Yeah,
given the
and
season.
yeah, and I've got a few to catch up on, so I've been traveling, but I will try and catch up with them. But they're really fun. They're very. It's I say it's very well edited out, and it feels like a proper travel show. So
Yeah.
there's no amateurish or amateur sort of feeling to it. It's like a proper gig. So it's
That
really
means a
really
lot.
well done,
Thank you,
and the
Shebs.
voiceovers are fantastic. But you're an edit suite person anyway, so you know what you're doing when it comes
You
to.
Yes.
know, you know the funny thing is Maui has been the one editing it. So the feel,
Oh.
the rhythm of the videos are all her, and then me, I'm just coloring and adding the graphics and text and creating the transition. So credit to her,
Oh,
and
credit to her
I
indeed,
was
yeah.
very impressed when she did like the first video. I was like, "Oh, excuse me, somebody's coming for my job."
No, they are brilliant actually. I do love watching, but it also keeps me connected with you guys as well. So when I watch you
Vice versa.
when I watch your podcast and stuff, it just keeps, even though I might not have spoken to you for a while, but I kind of get an idea of what you guys are up to and stuff. But it's been a pleasure sort of growing together. I think it's a,
Mhm.
but I say this is the thing when I said to you when we met, it's about the interconnectedness. So we might not have had like long together, but that feeling that we had when we were there, we were chatting away for 45, and it went quickly, didn't it, as well? We were chatting away quickly, and when you came on my show about 3 years ago as well. Was it about three?
Oh,
Yeah, it was about
3
3 years
years
ago as well.
already?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
3 years ago, and that was still, and since then my podcast has been nominated for awards as well. But
Oh my
Yes.
god.
and
Well
it's been,
deserved.
oh, thank you very much. It's been tough because I've been nominated against TV shows, and but I like to think
Wow.
that's a, yeah, I think that's a testament to myself to be up against those types of shows. So shows that have been on Discovery
Absolutely.
Channel, Apple, I think in the
Wow.
UK Channel 4, all these platforms. Just to think my edits are good enough to be up against those guys, it's been great. And so
Yeah.
from that, I've had loads of opportunities from it. So it's been, and like the likes of, I was talking about Levis and Wood, you would never have come on my show if you didn't think it was good quality anyway.
Mhm,
So
Mhm.
anything that he
mhm.
says yes to, it has to be some form of quality to it. But that comes with obviously the basics anyway. So you guys know what you're doing as well in terms of producing your show, making sure whatever the content
Oh,
goes
that's
out.
all Trizzy.
So, oh,
She's
Trizzy.
the
It's
magic
both.
maker behind
No, no.
behind all of this.
But it's making sure whatever you put out, it has to be at the highest of integrity. So when it comes to anyone viewing it, anyone can be watching it. A producer might be watching it. Anyone can be seeing it. So it has to be at the highest of quality. That's what I say. But no,
Yeah.
you guys do it as well as anyone out there. So that's kudos to you guys.
And then Shebs, you just won.
Then I got DEI champion finalist for Travel Unity. That was quite a big deal for me as well. So I obviously, when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusivity, it's something that I'm passionate in about, making sure that people like ourselves are represented within the travel media. And as you might know, it's very tough being from a different,
Mhm,
especially if you have a different name like Trizzy. I mean, if you have got something very different in
mhm.
terms of that, it's trying to get noticed, and your work might not be easily pushed because you're from a different
Mhm.
background. And making sure, there's people that I've mentored over the last couple of years as well who are from a different background, and they've thoroughly thrived off my not necessarily feedback on what they're doing wrong or anything like that, but just how to do better. They're doing great
Mm,
anyway. They just needed a bit of an encouragement. So
mhm,
I'm advocate of making sure that there's faces like ours on the
mhm.
screen, winning awards as well, and it's very important for the industry anyway. So you don't want to see the same old stuff, because to be honest with you, that gets quite boring, and I'm sure
Mhm.
we don't want
Yeah.
to see those all the time. And it's making sure that there's representation in all categories,
Absolutely.
whether it's writing, podcast, or video or anything. So that's really
And I
important.
think that's why it's important for anybody who's thinking of creating a podcast to throw in a video podcast as
Yes.
well, so people could see you, see how you look like and things
See
like
Yeah,
your
that.
face.
absolutely.
Actually, Trizzy and I don't know if you noticed, it's a small change. I don't think we really announced. No, we did announce it a little bit, but there's a lot of noise out there. We changed our our podcast logo a little bit to
Oh, okay.
show our faces more and to show what we represent a little bit more. Because
Mm.
it was just our faces before, and like someone told me this stuck with me forever. They're like, this looks like a real estate podcast. I
Oh,
was
okay,
like,
okay, okay.
okay.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, now that you say it, yeah,
We
tickets to
changed our
anywhere, yeah.
logo to like put on
Ah.
luggage, like dress how we dress if we're traveling. I had my my waterproof camera on me that I can't get
Ah.
unstuck. Trizzy had her carry on, like and we went to this really cool place next to LAX that has the planes
Yep,
flying over it.
yep,
And we did a photo shoot, and it felt Trizzy put it together on a background, like an atlas background, and
yeah.
we kind of revamped the logo, and we're like, okay, now there's no mistake about who we are.
Hmm.
Brand equity or logos are very, very important because obviously that's the first thing people see, isn't it? And making
Hmm.
sure your faces are seen. Actually, the funny thing is, Shebs the Wanderer came about many years ago. It was like 15 years ago when because one of the things I would do about 15, 20 years ago when there was no phones. I've told this before where you didn't have a phone back in those days where you have to take it away. And in fact, my first time when I went traveling at the age of 18, I left my phone because I said, well, I can't call it. And I'm not going to call
That's true.
honestly, there's no such thing as smartphones back then. So
Yeah.
I literally left it. And then you had to have
Wow.
maps and stuff. And connecting with family back home was
Mhm.
difficult at times. So they'd be wondering, where's he gone? Where's he wandered
Oh
off
my god.
to? So friends would say, oh, he's like the wanderer. And I said, oh yeah, Sheb's the wanderer. And I go, oh, actually, that's quite cool. I quite like that. Maybe I might use it one day in the future. And then I remembered it when
Oh.
I was forming because it's important, obviously, when you're forming your brand or anything like that. And
Yep.
Sheb's the wanderer stuck, so I went with it. And that's what it's all about. So Sheb's the wanderer, you don't know where I'm wandering. So I could be wandering anywhere around the world. And then obviously take a wander with Shebs is if a guest comes on the show, you're taking a wander with me.
I
So
love
That's
that.
awesome.
and
Yeah.
it works well with when I've done the show recently where again it's take a wander with Shebs, I'm away and but no, I think you're right. Brand logo, brand equity is very, very important. So people recognize it straight away. And
I do love hearing the origin nor story of names.
yeah, that honestly, how did your name come about? Ticket to Anywhere? Was it
Oh,
just something
this was
brainstorming?
when were we? We weren't even in pandemic yet. No, it was
It was
October, like
2019, and
September, October 2019,
yeah,
November 2019. And I remember actually, I feel like I was leaving you a voice note,
yeah. I think we were just spitting out names and everything, and
but like
yeah,
voice noting it. And I remember we were just
Oh,
like literally mouth vomit into the voice note.
yeah.
And then we're like, wait, that sounds good. That
it
sounds good.
it
That sounds
sticks.
good.
Yeah,
And we didn't even think about it for long. I think we thought about it for like a day. And we're like, that's it.
Oh.
That's it. That's the name.
yeah. But
Well, the
the
thing is,
crazy thing is, like, when we checked Instagram to try and lock down that handle, there was
mm,
already a Ticket to Anywhere, so that's why we have to add the podcast on
ah,
there.
okay. Yeah, the brand name is very important because if you get it wrong the first time, you have to change it and then redo everything, the whole shebang, the whole logos, marketing, all that kind of stuff, and then you have to and then on Google search as well, it takes time as well then for you to be recognized,
Hmm.
and that's one of the things actually. One of obviously the online aspect of I just mentioned 20 years ago. There's probably no chance of me sitting here talking about or even interviewing Leveson, or even entertaining. Even 10 years ago when he was on. 11 years ago when he first started his TV show, to
Hmm.
think that I would have had the chance of interviewed him for an exclusive, I know for a fact that there would be no chance whatsoever if it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for podcast online and stuff. That's made careers out of people, and obviously you have to be good. By the
Hmm.
way, you have to have something to you,
Yeah.
and my background as well. So my degree was in the arts, so I did videography, photography, bit of video editing.
Ah, okay.
I was in the editing suite for like 3 years, 4 years. So
Nice.
I've had that
You and
experience.
Trizzy are the same.
Yeah,
You're the
that's right.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But then that's obviously quality is very important. So anyone,
Hmm.
I say anyone can start, but as long as you've got some sort of
Hmm.
visual aspect in terms of where you're going
Hmm.
and you've got some
Well, you
quality
two are
behind.
like professionally trained
I like
editors.
to think, but the thing is, though, when I was doing my degree, when I first took it 20 years ago, people were laughing, thinking, "Why are you doing a degree in that or major in that? Because you're never going to use it." But now everyone wants that degree because
Hmm.
people want to make content, people want to travel,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
editing is very, very important. And some of the stuff I see, by the way, are very, very they need some work. But I think because we've had that experience in getting a degree, it's made it easy. I think that's what made my trajectory a lot quicker, because I had the
Mm.
experience anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then you're sort
absolutely.
of able to transition it, transfer it to whatever skill you're doing now. So it's been a great transition, I would say.
Do you think having like that background makes it a little bit harder to push out content because you're sitting there and you're kind of meticulously going through clip by clip and you know what isn't good and what's not
Yeah.
good?
Oh,
Okay.
100%. Yeah,
That was just
I've
me.
yeah, no, no. I've sat there and I've just gone, this is not good, and
Right.
I'm not going to put it out. As I said to you, this stuff like the reels. I know I've seen a lot of reels that people put out, and they're not the greatest, and
Hmm.
I just can't put out something that I know I could do better with.
Right.
So
Mhm.
because it takes me a lot of time. Sometimes when I do put out a reel, it takes me like a whole day, or
Oh, yeah,
we're talking,
Agreed.
but I see some reels and it's been put together within like a few minutes. I just can't. I know
Yeah.
obviously these days, since I interviewed you guys, the AI has started to, especially with video editing, you can still tell it's not great, but you still need a human aspect to it. But even then, it's not, there's stuff that I think it's not. Suppose I'm going to be that old school guy and sort of say no, it could be always be done better.
Be better.
Hmm.
And
But I
yeah,
wonder for you all, like, the average person is not you two. Do you know
right,
what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
pro
Right. Yeah.
editors. So, I
Yes,
wonder if thinking about it, like, your average person doesn't know how to edit a video.
mm, they
Yeah.
don't. But it does. As video editing is, it's a skill set. It is. It's you got to understand that when you're watching something and someone watching it might not pick it up. Because I
Mhm,
still see
mhm.
stuff when in an edit. I think, why did they do that? Or why did they not put that in? Or why did they not add that and stuff? So the storytelling, then it flows.
That's
You see, and
true.
one of the things as well. I don't know, Trizzy, when it comes to you watching movies, but when I'm watching movies, I'm watching it, almost judging it from the word go. It's like, oh no, this is,
Yeah.
and I've had friends who've been in who are actors, and I had this one friend who told me how to judge a movie, and he judges sort of movies for the BAFTAs, and he for awards, by the way,
Oh, wow.
and he gave me a technique as well. So it's like the same thing. It's a hook. It's how you can.
Mm,
It's a
mhm.
bit like almost like an article, a hook, the storytelling and everything. If it doesn't flow, if you're not building up with the characters, then why is there a purpose behind the show? I think in fact that was one of the things about the show that I did, the one in Taiwan. There was a purpose behind that show. And again, I don't make too many series or too many shows, but there has to be for me a purpose when I'm doing
Hmm.
something. So if I'm doing a show, there has to be a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a podcast, or even if it's a show like the one I did in Taiwan, there has to be a meaning behind it, you see. So I think it's really, really important to have that.
Yeah.
Speaking
Definitely.
of, I would love to you came to us with a very interesting topic, and when I
Yes.
read it, I was like, "Well, I feel like this sums up, like, Macau, London, getting to Taiwan." Did this all happen in 2024?
Yes, it did.
I'd love to
So
talk about it then, because you were like, mental health needs to be talked about outside of
yeah, it
Mental Health
does.
Week, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah. I think the misconception is that you're traveling and they see the social media and think, wow,
Mhm.
he's got an amazing life. Which, by the way, looking at it from the outside, yes,
Yeah.
I've just come back from Laos. I'm going to Greece in a few days' time. I've got more trips coming up for the rest of the year. And it is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But your life isn't just about travel. So a lot of the times you're
Mhm,
overthinking about stuff, and mine's very deep rooted as well, by the way. So
mhm,
prior to last year, I never spoke about my mental health, and I've known people talk about it, and within the industry, not many people talk about it either, by the way. But I've constantly have had to battle with my own mindset and feeling worthy as well.
mhm.
And I've always, when I was growing up, I was an introvert, a massive introvert. So that's something that you wouldn't think so now, which is obviously the case. You can develop skills, and I have become very, very extroverted in that sense. But it's always been a battle, and I've had a therapist for a few years. I say a few years, for years actually. And there was a breaking moment last year, unfortunately, where with the insurance. I think I mentioned it in my show, the Taiwan series, that
Mhm.
because I was taking a lot of therapy sessions with this insurance provider, all of a sudden they decided to hike my price up by 700%, which was like,
My God,
I can't afford that.
terrible.
And then the thing is that because they given me like 20, because they reevaluate every 20 sessions, so they gave me another 20 sessions, and I'd only done like 9 or 10, so I had like 10 sessions to go. And because I didn't feel as though I finished on my own terms and they finished it for me, that was like a bit of a mental battle. So I sort
Mm.
of didn't know how to sort of handle that. And then just a combination of, where is my life going? Yes, I've been doing well with work, but what's the meaning behind it? What's the next step? So you're sort
Mhm.
of playing with your mind. Start of 24, actually, it was funny because all of 23, I didn't need a therapist. I felt great.
Mm.
22, I did. 23, I didn't. 24 started. I was like, oh, okay, well, I might need to speak to someone again. And
Mhm.
so I went back to my therapist and said, hey, listen, this is what's happening. And then it's just sort of, you realign your mindset and making sure when you're out and about in your daily job, or whatever you're doing, you're doing it with a purpose.
Mhm.
And I felt as though I was losing a little bit of that. And then
Mm.
throughout the year, yep, I was traveling. Yeah, there was loads of different assignments and stuff, but I just couldn't get to grips. And when I said deep rooted, it was deep rooted. There was stuff that was coming up from
Mhm.
20 years ago, and you might not believe it, I'm a lot older than I look, but over 30 years ago. And there was a moment back in August where there was a bit of a, yeah, bit of a breakdown, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And as I said, people looking at me, think, oh, he's calm on the outside, he's happy going,
Mhm.
and you wouldn't think so. But we're also, I'm sure, others, I'm not saying that you guys are struggling with anything, but you're battling with your own demons a lot of the
Mhm.
time. And I
I think
think with it,
everyone does, no matter they may not recognize it,
Yeah.
everyone does. Yeah.
everyone does, and but some are struggling more than others. But
Mhm.
it's realizing that you need help as well, by the way. And until you realize you need to seek help, you're not going to admit that you've got an issue, or not necessarily an issue, but admit that you need to find a way to make yourself to the world better. Then no one's going to be able to help you. When I had the breakdown, I literally took myself away from the public eye. Well, I say the public eye, but from the public. Like I wasn't going to any events
Mhm.
with people that I knew, partly because I wasn't too sure how I was going to react to their
Mhm.
questionings and the way where they were. So I started resenting people, and that was a very, very dangerous place to be. Resenting anyone is not good at all. So I knew I had to find a way to overcome this. And I almost never made my flight to Macau because I was in that much of a bad state. I was like, can I make
Mm.
this? Can I make this? And the thing is, I got to the airport and I didn't realize my ticket was a business class, which I thought it was a coach, and it wasn't. It was like, and so the lady said, oh, you're business class, actually. It's like, really? It's like, oh wow. And that was like almost like an uplift that I needed. It's like, oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow. Oh
Small
wow,
little perk, right?
yes, yeah, I'm worthy of a business class here. And so there was just little things like that. And then I go to Macau, and then Macau had the Westminster and the Big Ben and
Mhm.
stuff. And
Mhm.
I'm from London, and I wasn't going back to London either. I was like, I don't want to go there. I can't stand it at the moment. And then I saw that. I was like, oh wow, okay. Oh, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's okay. And then just little things like that. And then I went through to Taiwan, and that's why I did this. I did actually film in Macau, but I haven't got that. I haven't released that just yet. But the Taiwan series was the big one, where
Yeah.
I felt as though, because you're surrounded by nature, you were surrounded by
Mhm.
amazing people, and they're very, very. The people were very different, actually. I shouldn't really say this, but obviously China and Taiwan has issues, but have you been to Taiwan,
Yeah,
Trizzy? Have you
I
been?
have.
Yeah.
They're very, very different.
I
Very,
just went
very,
last
very.
year too. I was
Oh, did you get
obsessed
it?
with it,
Oh, okay, right. Yeah,
but I
I
only
was
went to
like,
Taipei. Only went to
oh,
Taipei.
okay,
Yeah.
but I absolutely loved it, and I've been to China
Oh,
like
yeah.
four times, and it was very different. And I just found this real buzz and real
Mhm.
excitement, and I met some amazing people. The food was amazing, and it really, really got me back to this mindset of like, wow, okay, I'm worthy enough. I feel like I'm building something up here. And then it really, really helped me towards like my next travel. And then I remember back in just recently, back in January, when I said to one of my friends, I feel like I've got like the power back almost, because I was like
Mhm.
70% whilst I was in Taiwan. I was like rock bottom almost before I went, but I feel as though I've got some sort of power back in my life. I've got control. I think
Mhm.
if you lose control, that's a really major downplay. And as I said, resenting people is the worst
Mhm.
feeling, and I couldn't figure out why. I just didn't want to be around people. Coming from a guy who's very extroverted, didn't want to be around people, didn't want to be around friends, worried what I might say to them, and but it was a major, I would say, moment in my life, and hopefully it will propel me to the next step anyway. Maybe sometimes you might need one of these moments in your life where you do fall down and you have to bring yourself up again. So
Mhm.
the series in Taiwan was all about my looking back at what happened and seeing what I could do better going forward, and hopefully
Mhm.
not making that mistake again. I am seeing a therapist, by the way, again. So I finally got to the mindset of like, well, okay, I can speak to someone else, because it's
Mhm.
difficult once you've been speaking to someone for a long time. Trying to
Yeah.
find a new person is not
Mhm.
easy, because it
Mhm.
Mhm.
takes time. You might not connect with that person, and I think that's the purpose of, as I said, the purpose of that video was to show people, no, you can go through mental scars, but you can come out of it a better person almost. So hopefully
Mhm.
that's what resonated with people watching it anyway. And
Mhm.
well, if anyone's got questions, you can come along and ask me. I'm very
Yeah.
open to
Yeah.
it.
Rediscovered your purpose and your passion for
Yeah,
everything.
and
Mhm.
honestly, I was sitting by the by on when I was sitting, right, I need to get some work done. I'll sit there and I did no work. Honestly, for 2 months, I did no work. Like, I'd
Mhm.
turn on the laptop and did no work. So there was no income coming in whatsoever, because I just didn't want to do. There wasn't sending out any pictures, wasn't doing
Mhm.
any editing. There was nothing for 2 months. I think it was maybe even longer. Can't quite remember. But I did no work. I just sat there doing nothing. And that's a terrible state to be in as well, where you're waking up for nothing. You're waking up for
Mhm.
because you know you're not going to do any work, so you're waking up
Yeah.
doing no work. And then one of the things, unfortunately, is I tend to eat, so I put a lot of weight on as well. So in terms of American metrics, it would have been 20 pounds or something like that. That's a lot of weight for me. That
Mhm.
was a lot of weight. So, and I've started to shift that weight, by the way, as well. So I might look. I don't know if I look heavy to you, but yeah, I've started.
You
You look
definitely
great.
do
You
not.
look great.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I put weight on, and so because you comfort eat as well. So you
Mhm.
compare, because I'm not a smoker or drinker. So
Mhm.
what do I need to replace that? So I was replacing it with food, and I was just eating all
Mhm.
sorts of rubbish. Those sort of types of food aren't great for you at all. It doesn't make you feel great.
Mhm.
It might
Mhm.
make you feel good when
Like
you're eating it.
temporary satisfaction.
That's
Yeah.
correct, yeah, but the long term is like, "Oh, I feel yucky inside,"
Mhm.
and then you think, "Oh, I need to go to the gym to lose the weight," and then you go to the gym, you're working out, and you're not shifting that weight, and you're thinking, "Oh, goodness me, what am I doing here?" And you're eating more of that stuff.
Mhm.
Then you're eating, like, I remember eating 2 boxes of pizza in, like, one sitting, and it's, like, terrible, terrible.
Mm.
But, yeah, thankfully, I'm in a right place now, in a good place now, actually, I should say,
That's
where
great.
but
You
it's a
deserve that. Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you very much. It's a long, I suppose it's been a bit of a long journey, actually. 6,
Journey.
7
Yeah.
months. Yeah, 6, 7
Really.
months is a lot. Yeah, 6, 7 months is quite
It's
a
long. Yeah.
it's a long couple of weeks is a couple of days is a
Mhm.
long time, I think, but 6, 7 months is
Yeah.
because you're constantly playing with your mind, and
Yes.
it's not
Yeah, when
not
you're
good.
not feeling yourself, I think any amount of time is a long time. And you're out of your body, you're out of your head, you're not yourself, you're not with your community, your friends, your
Yes.
family. It's tough, because you're probably telling them, well, they can't how are they gonna help me? Or you're probably telling yourself, how are they gonna help me during this time, right? You start resenting people, like you
Yeah, you do.
said.
Yeah, yes, you do. Absolutely. But also I felt as though the career thing it wasn't like it was going anywhere. So I built my name big enough. So I was being invited, by the way, to so many different things. Like, I think it was right. I counted. I had to look back the other day. It was like 18 invitations to stuff. I didn't go to any of them.
Wow.
In the end, I had to
Oh.
apologize. I had to apologize to
Mhm.
everyone. A lot of them were trips as well, and I kept saying, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
really sorry, I can't make it." But it was for their own benefit, by the way. I didn't go, especially when it comes to press trips. You're told you have to behave a certain way, because otherwise you can get
Mm.
blacklisted if you're behaving in a certain way and you've done an outburst and people have gone, "Well, what's wrong with him?" You could easily be
Mhm.
blacklisted, because I knew saying no or not going to those events, trips, was only going to benefit me for the long run. So it's a
Mhm.
short-term thing. But I wasn't the thing was also I was worried how long short term was going to be, whether it was going to be 6, 7 months, or whether it's going to be 2 years. Because my fa- mental health is hereditary, so it goes back within families.
Mhm.
And a lot of my family members have had issues with mental health for years and years and years. When I said it was deep rooted, it goes back generations. So
Mhm.
I said to it, my background's from Bangladesh, and
Mhm.
my family lineage, if you go back even further, it's going to be India. But there was the partition with Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India, and there was the war,
Mhm.
and some of my family members were in 1971 remember the war, and there was a genocide going on in what's known as Bangladesh now, and some of them are caught up. So I won't go into too much detail, but that or that feelings that they had has transferred, well, not necessarily transferred, but when I was growing up, you could
Mhm.
feel their feelings, their anger, their resentment,
Mhm.
their way of living, which obviously caused their. And then when I was talking to my therapist, we were analyzing all this sort of stuff. Actually, it can go back to perhaps your family members or parents, and they've passed it on to you. And
Mhm.
then that's where you need to recognize, okay, I need to get some help myself. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
it's very, very deep rooted, as I said earlier on. But in the States, by the way, you guys talk openly about seeing therapists. But in the UK, we don't really. It's not really. It's a little,
Really?
yeah, it's a bit of a taboo. It's not really, we don't really, it's almost seen as a weakness if you talk about your mental state. And
I
but
think
in
it
this,
used to be that way here, but I think it's been a big shift the past, like, 10 years, I'd say, really big shift.
if you've got the right people around you as well telling you it's going to be okay, then it's, and keeping at it, not shying away from anything. And that's, I think that's really, really important to have, I think, going forward anyway, if anyone's going through any issues. but
Mhm.
but yeah, I'm very happy to
100%, yeah.
talk to anyone, and if you want to contact me,
Ye
I'm very happy to chat.
There are 2 things actually, 'cau you mentioned talking to anyone. One, I have 2 questions. I
Okay.
wanted to ask if you were speaking to a therapist while you were traveling through, like, Macau and Taiwan, or if you were speaking to anyone.
I was not
Um
actually. No, I found that obviously at the time I didn't have a therapist at the time anyway.
Mhm.
I said I lost it, but I think the therapy. If I had a therapist, yeah, I probably would have. My trip could have been even better actually potentially. But I said in that video that I had to become my own therapist. I had to find a
Mhm.
way of dealing with it myself. And I think sometimes that's because I said in the video that I couldn't rely on the system in the UK or
Mhm.
where some people might in the US. I know there's one of my friends who does see a therapist in the US said once you're not staying in the US for a certain amount of time, you lose your therapist automatically because you have to be in the
Oh,
US for a significant amount of time. Yeah, honestly.
right.
So systems are always going to let you down. And
Mm.
so I had to find a way to be my own therapist. That's exactly what I said. And but if I did have a therapist whilst I was in
Mhm.
Taiwan or Macau, definitely would have made my trip even better. I think I could probably
Yep.
would have got myself in. But then again, saying that, it was a journey. I had to figure it out for myself.
Mhm.
And but going away does help. It really does help
It
because
does.
you're in a new environment, aren't you? You're in a new environment with people, and you're making new friends. And but
I think
within,
so. I think there's an argument though, just in the travel community, and I say this to get your opinion that, like, traveling isn't a replacement for therapy,
no,
right? And I
no, no,
think
no,
it's dependent on the person too. For
no.
you, very luckily, you were able to get away, and it made you came back refreshed and like
Yeah.
in control of your life and your mind. But
Oh
there are
yeah,
some people
absolutely.
out there that, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, traveling isn't a therapy whatsoever. You can't, because it's different for different people. Obviously, I've
Mhm.
got a love for travel and just being surrounded by different people. And I think also what was helping was that it was a different feeling of being around different people and culture and different foods. And it wasn't the same thing like waking up knowing I'm not going to do anything. I think that was a bit of a mind
Mm.
shift. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm waking up, what am I doing? When I got to Macau, actually, the first couple of days, I remember I was feeling that. I remember texting my friend who was talking to me throughout last year, just saying, just relax and just go out and do it, because it was a work trip, so I had to be with
Yep.
them. So just said, right at the end of the just go out yourself, and I don't know, go somewhere and do something by yourself. Even if you don't want to have dinner with them, just don't have dinner with them. And
Mhm.
it was just people. I suppose not necessarily having a therapist, but someone there telling me, yeah, do this, it'll be fine. So I
Mhm.
had to get reassurance from someone. And but you're absolutely right. Travel for some people isn't a meaning of making yourself better, and for
Mhm.
me it was just a, yeah, it might not have been, but it was the thing.
Yeah, that's great.
It was a healing moment for me in terms of, yeah, I found a bit of peace again. To answer your question, yeah, travel isn't a therapy session for some people, but for myself it was the holy ground.
Yeah. I wonder also if there's a difference, you hear accounts of people like something goes wrong at home and they're like, I need to leave. I need to just get out, right? Because they're
Mm,
running away from a problem. Whereas like you actually went to these destinations, like you were in Macau on a press trip.
yeah,
Like you had to go for a reason, you know?
yeah,
So it's not necessarily running away from a problem that you had at home, but more so like, well, I have a responsibility, like I have a duty to
you
fulfill.
do.
You take an additional few days or a few weeks to add on to that and it can change your whole perspective, like you were saying, some of the reasons you were feeling not yourself was because you're like, what am I doing with my life? Is this all worth it? But then you're
Mm,
being called out to Macau for a press trip. Like
yes.
they need you.
Yes.
Know.
No, that was the
So
thing. So, and as I said, when I got to the airport, I didn't realize it. I hadn't looked at the ticket, and it was, oh,
mhm.
you've got business class. I was like, oh wow, okay. So they really fly me out, because it was a 11-hour flight. So they said, we want you, because they said as soon as I get there, we have to go. We're off
Mm.
straight away. It was
Oh
like that.
yeah.
So it was like, okay, oh okay. So I didn't realize that. So yeah, you're right. I think there was a reason why I was going out there, because it was for
Mhm.
work and I was needed. And that was the mentality, because one of my family members was saying to me, listen, they want you there.
Mhm.
They want you. Do you not understand that? People want you to be there. People are inviting you to these events because they want you there. People are inviting you to these destinations because they want you there. I've actually worked hard to get to this position. For when I first started off, as you guys know, I was trying to get these people to invite me to these things or get invited
Mhm.
to these events, and I was getting nothing, no response, no nothing. I mentioned earlier when I spoke to Levison Wood 5 years ago, he said in a nice way, "Oh, I'm very busy," but that meant he said no to the interview. Everyone's saying yes to me, everyone's coming to me, and that is what I think. Wow, actually, no, you, I've actually worked to get to this position, and
Mhm.
I've got to think to my, I've got to pat myself on the back. I think sometimes we're a bit too harsh on ourselves, thinking, "Oh, we're not good enough. We're not quite good enough." And actually, when you look at it, people will die for our positions. And I was talking to a friend
Mm.
just this morning actually about, we've got to be grateful what we've got. To have a trip out, if they're paying you business class, the Greece trip,
Yes.
that they've given me a car, a massive house to myself. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say to you. And they said to me, you've got your own schedule. You can do whatever you want, but
Mhm.
as long as you do something, do it on your own time. And that is luxury that you can only get if you've worked for it. And
Yes.
yeah, I got to think to
Yes.
myself, yes, I've actually worked for this.
Mhm.
And but being true to yourself, being authentic as well.
Mhm.
Nothing that I've done has been fake or anything like that. It's just I've been true to
Mhm.
myself. And I think that's the important thing. So people see authenticity and think, actually, this is genuine stuff he's doing. We
Mhm.
like it. And as that's what's one advice I give to people: be genuine. Otherwise, people see through you straight away. Or you'll be here, you'll be like a flash in the pan. You'll be here today, out tomorrow. So
Mhm.
making sure
Yeah.
that anything's genuine. Yeah. So yeah, I like to think, yeah, I've worked hard to get to this position, but that doesn't mean that I can't work harder to get to the
Mhm.
next position. So
Mhm.
the next call is, what do I do next? So
$100%.
there's so much I could do. Hopefully the next, as I said, the TV show goes well. Might get my own TV series, who knows? So
Ah,
that's
yeah.
Amazing.
hopefully that's the goal. I think I hope so. Anyway,
That would
Yeah,
be so cool.
we'll be
well, I think
cheering you on.
you got to put in
10,000.
hours worth of work to become an expert.
Mhm.
And have I done 10,000? I probably have, probably by now. Yeah, in like 5 years,
Would
maybe.
you say you've yeah. I you have. Trizzy, you've put in 10,000 hours of editing work, right? Way more
Yeah,
than
because
that,
I
I feel
started,
like.
like, middle
Yeah,
school, high school.
Yeah.
yeah. 10,000. Well, not just I think 10,000 hours worth of just everything. I think everything combined. If you're in this sector, if you put in that amount of work, you've got like a know-how, don't you? And
Mhm.
Mhm.
this is then you become worth the pay slip. Because if that, for example, if an article that usually used to take me, sometimes my articles do take me days sometimes to write, but if I'm doing an article within like half an hour, but it used to take me 2 days, I've worked hard to get it to the state where I'm working
Yes.
at half an hour. So you're paying me, yes, this much for like 2 3 days worth of work, but I can do it in half an hour because
Right.
I've got to that stage. That's because you're not going to find these types of people anywhere. So
100%.
if you can get to that level, then you're good. And that's why there's so many people out there and they say, oh, I charge X amount of money for like 20 minutes worth of work because they've worked hard to get to that
Yes.
point where I used to do this 3 hours, but I don't need to. I can do it in 20
Mhm.
minutes now. And that's you're paying for that time. You see. And it's valuable value, isn't it? How valuable is that? That's the key thing to it, I would say.
There's a quote out there that's like, if you think an hour, or if you're paying this amount for an hour of my time, you're not paying me for the hour, you're paying me for the 15 years that it took me
Yeah,
to get there,
100%. Yeah,
to do
absolutely.
that work in an hour. So like you
Yep.
think literally like a plumber, a carpenter, they're like, "Oh, we charge 180 an hour, 250 an hour." It's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, but I've been doing this for 25 years."
Yeah,
So
100%. So it's important to value yourself a certain way and making sure that people respect is a big word actually I would use. So if you can get respect within the industry, and obviously it'd be nice if they like you as well, but if people respect you for what you do, then that's really you've sort of made it, I would say, and it's
Mhm,
quite an important thing. So yeah, I've
mhm.
got a few things that have come out. As I said, the Taiwan series, the
That's so
episode
exciting.
episode coming out as well, but I've got loads more other stuff coming as well. But hopefully as I said, the episode in Taiwan does resonate with people, and we do need to, as I said, we do need to talk more about the mental. I'm sure there's more people, not just me, but I think it's important to be open about it because it's not a sign of weakness. It's
Mhm,
just
mhm,
it's just part of life, I would say.
Yeah.
mhm. We have a friend, Christine Lozada. I don't know if you know her. She's like a
Yes,
drone
no, very
drone
well.
queen. Yeah, she's
Yes, I know.
incredible and she's ever evolving, which I love about her.
Hmm.
Um, but I went on her podcast a couple years ago talking about confidence and how
Mm.
confidence is like it's a muscle that you have to exercise.
Oh yeah.
And you chatting here about mental health also reminds me of that. It's like mental health needs to be like massaged,
Oh,
it needs to be worked on. It's not just something that like I don't think with anything in life it's just at, within our bodies and brains and health, like it's just there and then we grow up with it. Like you have to take care of everything, every part of it. Like you have to brush
abs-
your teeth every day, you have to
yeah.
take care of your hair. Like that counts for internal organs as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's a very good analogy to use because if you're exercising to stay fit physically, you're absolutely right. You need to exercise your brain as well. So that needs to stay fit
Mhm.
as well. So if it's if you look at it, the analogy, if it's out of shape in that sense, then you're gonna fall down, aren't you? So you're gonna get all sorts of issues with it. And same thing with your physical state, where if you're overweight, you can potentially get diabetes, issues with your heart, all sorts of stuff. Same thing. You're absolutely right. The mind is also a muscle. You have to keep exercising it. You're right. And if you don't, then there's going to be. I think when you're younger, when you're a kid, you don't need to. Same thing. You don't
Oh,
need
it's
to
still
necessarily.
developing.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
developing. Yeah, so you're growing. Your mind's growing. Your body's growing. You don't necessarily need to do all these sort of things. But once you get to once you've plateaued, then you have to start working on these
Mhm.
things. And I think it's a very good point. And confidence as well, by the way, that's a very key thing because
Oh,
I'd say
yeah.
also I'd lost confidence as well. That was a big thing as well. So you lose confidence within your own self, own belief, and you think, well, can I do anything that I used to do before? And yeah, it's making sure that how do you get that confidence back to do your job
Mhm.
properly? And I think
I
that's
mean,
a
literally this week, I was like, does anyone literally like Monday, Tuesday, I was like, does anyone care that I'm doing anything that I'm doing? Like I felt like I was screaming
mm,
into a void. I'm like, I'm doing 9 things right now. And does anyone care? that I'm doing
No,
anything that I'm doing.
100%. You feel like
So,
that sometimes. If
yeah.
if you're not surrounded by anyone, a lot of the times, and by our jobs, by the way, I'm working from home anyway all the
Mhm.
time, and then obviously if you're out and about for assignments, then you get to meet people. A lot of the times you're on your own. You're not really
Yeah.
surrounded by anyone, no office stuff. My career in the past, by the way, I have worked in different businesses and stuff, but it's not anymore where you're not really around anyone, and you think to yourself, oh, actually, sometimes you think, does anyone care? You're right. You think to yourself, what's out there? And but yeah, I think it's important to reach out if you're suffering from anything, or if you've lost that confidence.
Mhm.
What can you do to regain it? And that's the key question, I suppose. And I don't know sometimes myself, so I can't really answer that question. So
Yeah.
you just have to find. I think you have to work it through. I think you just
Mm.
have to work it through and find
Yeah.
ways in the
Everyone
end.
has their own methods. I have a weird method of doing things, like,
Yeah, they do.
but
Yeah, absolutely.
I think when you were talking about your years and like how often you went to go speak to someone to get help, I think it's perfectly fine and normal to be like, okay, this is a season like 2022. I needed to talk to someone.
Mhm.
2023, I didn't. I felt great.
Yeah, I did.
2024, I had to go back to someone. Like I
Yeah.
fully support, recognize, especially the fact that you can recognize that because I
Mm.
feel like you can see it in some people that it's like maybe, you don't wanna judge and be like, "Hey, maybe you should go talk to someone," but
Yeah.
some people don't have that self-awareness that you do,
Yeah,
and
I
I think
think
that's huge.
that's
Hmm.
probably from years of just going through it all. I think that's where you do have to recognize it yourself. And I've been in around it for such a long time now, and I see it in other people, by the way, where they definitely need to speak to someone. And there's this, you see it and you think, have you? And it's very hard to sort of tell them you need to go see a therapist or a psychological therapist or whatever, because you can't. They have to recognize it themselves, because you can tell by the outburst or how they're behaving and whatnot and stuff. And but you do, self-awareness is very important. And I knew, by the way, at the beginning of 24, I thought, okay, there's something not quite right here. Why is my
Mm,
mind just flowing, and why are these thoughts coming through?
mhm.
What's wrong with me? So not necessarily what's wrong with me, what's happened all of a sudden. So
Mhm.
let me quickly go speak to someone, and they'd be like, okay. And then they give you the objective professional advice. Yes, speaking to
Yep.
friends is good, yes, of course. But if you can get that objectiveness, and it's very professional,
Yeah.
then it will help you, I think, realign where you are. I think that's really
They're
important.
trained to help people in that way. Sometimes friends, I've learned that it's tough, right, with friends, like, unless they've gone through something very similar,
Hmm.
um and then it's hard because people do different things. They're like, "Well, this is how I would act,"
Yeah,
right? But then, yeah, it's
you're
tough
right.
with friends. If
But I
you
also
really need
think
the
that,
professional help, I always recommend
yeah,
getting
also I
it.
think though, friends as well, will obviously be there for you, but it's always going to be subjective what they give you. So you really do need
Mhm.
someone who gives you an objective opinion. If it's going to help you going moving forward with it, then that's
Mhm.
really important in terms of getting that seeking that professional help. I think it's a key thing. Sometimes obviously it's very expensive at times, but I'm sure there's other means and ways of getting it.
Like you said, finding it's expensive if you have to, like, it's like dating around. You have to find
Mm,
someone
yes,
that you mesh with. So that can get expensive, right? If you don't get lucky on your first try.
exactly. Yeah.
But I don't know if there's options like that that have popped up like in the UK.
The UK, we do have our national health service but you're on a waiting list for such a long time, and you think
Oh.
you might need, but it depends. So your circumstances, they might say, right, okay, we think you're going to need one immediately because you're in risk of your life or whatever. But
Mhm.
otherwise, you do have that. But there's a big waiting list. So a lot of the times, people would go private, and
Mhm.
if you are going private, then it makes it a bit more easier, because then you're going to have that same person. Sometimes when you go with the National Health Service, they might give you someone different all the time, and that's no good either. Well, I hope in the future, by the way, where the governments in both sides of the UK and the US make it free for everyone, so you can get access to it straight away. And what really annoyed me was that they took business over health. So when they hiked up my
Yeah.
price, They
Well,
did it they did it for business reasons because
mm-hmm,
they saw I was paying something like £50 a month, and the
Mhm.
sessions were
Wow.
the sessions for them were costing them 115 a month.
Mhm.
So effectively, they were paying nearly £500, but I
Mhm.
was paying £50.
Right.
So to them, they thought, "Well, actually, this is not good business sense, so we're just gonna hike his price up." And we're talking
It's
about
700%?
yeah, so it
That's
was like
extortion.
£394 they said. That's how much they said it was.
per
So
That's
session.
how much you would owe.
I so that was how much I'd have to pay a month. So I would have had to have gone from paying £50 a month to £394
Oh
a
my
month.
god.
That's how much they hiked it up to. I was like, "You are joking, right?" It's like, "Oh, no, this is what we've evaluated over the last I don't know how many years you've been using us." And it's like, "Okay." So you're like, "Okay, I'm screwed then." So it's yeah, it is what it was, but
I
hopefully something does get
yeah.
done to that, and I hope in the US you have nothing like that where it's business over, but then I have a funny feeling it
I
might
mean,
be
have
where
you we're at the time of recording, we're beginning of February. Have you seen the trajectory of the US right now?
I haven't, no,
It's
what's hap
bleak, Shebs.
Oh.
That's why when you're like, "Oh, I hope it can be better," I'm like, "But when can it get better?" You know, it's
Uh,
I feel like to be hon it's scary because I just feel like we're closer to getting it taken away, any of
Mhm.
those
right.
services, than it improving at this point right now, at time of recording.
We'll
Thank you.
see. We'll see
That
in the
that
next few years.
yeah,
I
hopefully,
know, yeah.
if I look back and when I was going through those down moments, I wouldn't change it because it's the community that I built
Mm.
within the travel media. And
Oh, yeah.
even if you guys are in LA, I feel as though you're part of my community. I'll always,
Oh.
honestly, yeah, I'd always make sure that if I care about you well enough, I'd always make sure I protect you guys. And if you come along, I'll buy you gingerbread, whatever, cookies and whatever, and making sure you're okay. So it's part of that. So the community is amazing. I think the
Mhm.
travel community is one of the best communities that you could ever come across. I think the most like-minded, amazing humans that you could ever meet. I think so. I wouldn't change it for the
Yeah,
world.
Mhm.
definitely. I mean, as you can tell, we could talk to Shebs all day about anything.
Yes, yes, you can absolutely. I do talk quite a lot. Apologies.
No, no, I
No, we
love
love
it.
it. That's what a podcast episode is for.
Yes.
Exactly. But let's jump
Uh,
into something that we like to do with our guests in every episode. You might know it as the T2A Q2A, Ticket to Anywhere Quick to Answer segment. And
I'm looking forward to this.
originally we have 4 questions, but I kind of want to squeeze in one more. And
Yeah,
this is easy. To start off, coffee or tea?
tea. Of course, I'm British.
Ah,
Of course,
I
tea.
lost. It's okay. I mean,
Honestly, tea, I have it every morning and every evening at least. So have it
okay.
like twice a day at least, at least.
Nice. Are you drinking black tea in the evening?
Yes, it will be. Well, it'll be herbal tea in the evening.
Okay.
Herbal
Mhm.
tea in the evening. So I do struggle with caffeine as well. So yeah, has to be herbal tea in the evening. But
Nice.
yes, tea. I am a tea goer. Yes.
All right. Do you have any rituals or routines upon arriving in a new place?
I do actually, yes. I have to when especially when I go into the hotel, I have to. I've got whether it's an OCD thing or not, but I have to make sure specific things are done exactly the same way. So dropping my bags off and whatnot and stuff. And recent times, I feel as though I wear a bandana now, so the bandana makes me feel as though I am ready to go, and that's become a bit of a ritual now. So it's become no, now I wear the banner, but it has to be specific things. So I'll make sure the bathroom is a certain way, bags put in a certain way, and then I'm ready to go because then I know I'm comfortable. Then you see.
Mhm.
So and also the one thing I do, I have this one tune I always listen to when I'm boarding a plane. It's the Chariots of Fire.
Ooh,
I don't know why. It's like it gets me going. It's like,
I love
okay,
that.
because I remember it from like the 2000. It was only from like the 2012 Olympics. They were playing that during the ceremony when they were giving out the medals, and it was
Mhm.
like a moment of like, right, okay, you've achieved something. So I always listen to it when I go onto a plane. It's like it's a real uplifting. I don't know. It's an uplifting music for me, so I have to listen to that. It's like a thing for me. That's one of my rituals as well.
That's awesome.
That's so
Cool.
cool.
You
Okay. All
get
right.
that bandana as a merch.
Bandana, yes,
Yeah.
I do need to get that actually. I need to get a
Yeah.
bandana as a merch as well. I do have my other
Please
merches as
do.
well, which you can buy, by the way. I should really plug this. You can buy from my website.
Oh, love that. We'll
www
drop all
dot
your links in
Yes,
the
that'd be great.
notes.
Yes,
No
yes, yes.
worries.
I
Okay,
ship
and
worldwide as well.
okay. Um, must have flight essential.
I have these earplugs. These are special earplugs as well. That when it was years ago, many years ago, where it was kept popping. So obviously, if you're more of a frequent flyer, and as I'm getting older, I had to then go buy so these special earplugs where it cancels out the flight noise. And I've also got these special earplugs for, let's see, if I'm sleeping and there's quite loud noises, depending on where I am in the world. So they're like very, very special. So I always wear them when I'm going up on a flight and then when I'm going down on a
Mm.
flight. So taking off and coming back down. So I have to have those. If I don't, I feel as though I won't be able to hear anything. I'll probably go deaf. That's the
Hmm.
not shouldn't really say that, but yes, I have to have those. Those are essentials.
Are they customized?
Yes, they're customized for my ear and it goes through and I can't
Oh,
hear anything. Oh,
customize.
yeah, yeah, it cost me, I can't remember how much I paid. It was in the hundreds, I remember. But you can buy earplugs, obviously. I know earplugs, they give it to you sometimes in airplanes where they're like these foams, but they're not good.
Mhm.
That does not work. I have to wear these special ones. Uh,
Okay. Do you
but
mind
yeah,
telling where you got them custom from?
oh, I got them about 10 years ago.
Oh,
I
a while ago.
will, yeah, it was like a special, there was like a special clinic I went into.
Okay.
And so I did it recently, actually. I had redid
Like
my
medical
test.
grade
Yeah,
earplugs.
yeah. I did. So did it recently, actually, where they tested my ear to see if I can still hear. And this is all good. It's all good. So
Nice.
keep it because
Wow.
obviously going deaf is a big, because a lot of people do, lot of, believe it or not, a lot of adults, they don't realize it's like 70% people will go, yeah, slightly go deaf in their ear because we're constantly surrounded by loud music these days,
Yep.
planes, all sorts of stuff. It's not good for you. So yeah,
Oh
earplugs for
my
me
gosh.
are
Now you have me
very, very
worried about a
important.
new
I
problem.
know.
Sorry about that, but yeah, no, definitely, definitely, if you're frequently flying a lot, your ears are constantly being battered. And also, we wear headphones all the time. We're listening to
Mhm.
music all the time. These are the sort of things that we weren't doing 50 years ago. So
Mhm.
it's a thing. You got to look after your ears, I would
Yeah.
say. So yeah, those are
Okay.
essentials for me.
Nice. Okay. What are you besides everything that you've talked about today? A traveler, a writer, a broadcaster?
I like to think I like to think I'm a bit of a tennis player. I
Oh, yeah, you
Ooh.
because I
are.
Yeah, well, see, I used to play. My level, I would say, is semi-pro. I've hit with pros.
What?
So, yeah, I even up until even recently, I'd get like I'm like a hitting partner. So I'll be able to hit with them. So the analogy I would use is I'm good enough to be on a court with them, like a boxer like a sparring partner. I'm a sparring partner, I would say.
Okay.
Okay.
Like get them ready. But I have no business being on a match court with them. That's the way. Like I played with a pro just before the pandemic, and I remember him saying, "Why don't you play tournaments? You're good enough to play." And he was like top. He was like 800 in the world or something, 850 in the world, I think he said. And that's like very good, by the way. Standards of players up to like the thousands, they're amazing players. And I was like,
Mhm.
I'm not. I can hit with you. I played well, got points, and I took a tie break off him, but I'm not good enough to be on a match court. I can hit with you. I can get you ready. You can tell me where to hit. If you want your backhands from back, I can do that for you. If I could become a professional, that would have been a dream. You get to travel and play tennis. That would have
Yeah.
been amazing.
The
That's how
But
I
yeah,
feel about
dream.
basketball.
Yeah.
yeah, I know you're a massive basket. I remember you telling me you wanted to have tennis wise. I think you've said to me, let's have a game.
Yeah, up until you said
Uh,
semi-pro, I'm like, I don't know now.
She's like, "Never mind, I take that back."
yeah, as I said, good enough to be a sparring partner these days, but not quite good enough to be on a match court with anyone.
That's super cool. I don't think I knew that fact, so I love learning new facts about our guests. All right, last question, and then I would love for you after your answer, I'd love for you to tell our audience where they can find you. What are you looking forward to this year in 2025?
Ooh, that's a good question to ask. Well, I hope I keep developing my skills, and as I said, the TV show. If I can get that done, if I can get more work like that, that would be fantastic. But in general, I just hope to meet more amazing people, and hopefully, I get to meet you guys in person this year as well. When I come to the
Yes.
States,
Yeah.
I'm coming to Canada as well. So, and I'm going to the west coast of Canada. So, I might just make it to the
Okay.
west coast of America. I've never been to the west coast of the States yet.
You know, Trizzy's from Seattle, which is like, what is it, an hour from the border,
Oh,
Trizzy?
It's
yes,
2
like
yes,
two
hours?
yes, yes, it
hours
is.
from
Yes.
Vancouver. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. So, I mean, I know
We might all just have to get on up to
I
Seattle.
know, Trizzy,
Come
you and
out.
I met for that half an hour, 45 minutes. But yes, we've got to do a proper meet, and
Okay.
but hopefully, yeah, yeah, and just making sure that I'm a better version of myself than I was in 24, I would say. And you never know. Also, one of the big things maybe fall in love with someone. So that's
Oh.
Oh,
we haven't quite talked about my love life yet, but yeah, maybe who knows, it might meet someone who I've had moments with people, yes, but not quite been what you have, Trizzy. I don't know, Leah, whether I don't want to put you on the spot, but whether you've had anything. But yeah, I know, Trizzy, you've got someone in your life, and if I can get someone as half as decent as someone that you've got, then I'll be a very happy man, I would say.
The key
oh.
is to not expect, because I was not expecting to
Yes, that's
meet
true.
the love of my life the night that I did. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think they were,
Well,
like, running away from each other that night actually, or ignoring each other. I've heard this story, something like that.
She didn't text me for 10 days, so let's
Yeah.
but she
He's like, "The
denies that.
moment has passed, it was
yeah.
fleeting."
Well, you never know. I always say, by the way, you said when you least expect it. I might
Mhm.
have met my match, and we might be on different paths at the minute. Who
100%. I
knows?
always think
Who
that too. Like,
knows?
what if it's just someone we already know, which I mean makes for a better relationship anyway. Not saying that like 13 years ago, Trizzy, that wasn't
Uh-huh.
it, but they could already be in your life, Chef.
Yeah, in my life, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely, absolutely. You never know, and yeah, who knows what the world might bring? But hopefully, things are. I would say from 24, yeah, it's a lot better than what it was in terms of mentally. Yes, absolutely. I'm already feeling fantastic this year,
It's
but
good.
those are sort of things. And yet, if you can find me anywhere on at Shebs the Wanderer, you can go on my website www.shebsthewonder.com, where you can buy my merchandise as well. There's the hoodie I'm
Yeah.
wearing, one of the hoodies you can buy, t-shirts. I also do phone cases. I don't know whether you can see this phone case as
Oh,
well.
love
Yes, Shebs
that.
the Wanderer phone cases. I also do water bottles and all sorts of stuff. Jumpers. Oh, I think you guys call it sweaters, don't you?
Yeah.
Sweaters. And but no, if there's any questions whatsoever, you can contact me from the contact tab or follow me on all my socials. And yeah, hopefully we can connect. And I love as I said, I love the community, the travel community. It's the most wonderful people that you could ever meet. So please get in touch, and I'll be happy to converse with you. No problem whatsoever. I'm not one of those guys that doesn't come back to you. I always do.
Love it, Chefs. You definitely are the best, and thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time and
Thank you
reaching
for
out to us.
everything.
No,
Yeah.
no, Lizzie, Leah, Trizzy, thank you very much for your time as well. I really appreciate it, and have a wonderful day.
Sweet. Thanks, guys, for
Thanks,
listening in
Chef.
on the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. Till next time. To find even more travel tips on budgeting, destinations, and our favorite items, sign up for our monthly newsletter, The Check-In, linked in the show notes or description.